this is Tom, aka Gedeon here for Tabletop Tap Room. Hello, good morning from deep in the woods of Maine. It is a beautiful morning. We're about to check out today, so I thought I'd just squeeze in a Fanzine Friday if I could. But I want to say thank you for watching the video. Thanks to my subscribers. You guys are great. And if you've not subscribed, please do hit the like, subscribe, and bell icon. Help me build the channel. And now that we have that out of the way, let's get right to this. So here we are with Frontier Explorer number 34. And this particular Frontier Explorer, this is a good one. There's some great material in here. The first article is Archetypes of Horror. There are 4 basic horror archetypes: the vampire, the changeling, the pseudo-human, and the ghost. And we examine the classic archetype and then relate it to things that are already in sci-fi or in Star Frontiers. And so this is just a quick 2-page article on giving you some ideas on incorporating some horror elements into your Star Frontiers game. The next up is the Sextant Association. This is a cadre. I do believe, if I am not mistaken, I do believe it was originally written for Traveler by Ken Wang, or that it was converted from Traveler by Ken Wang. And so he contacted me and said, "Hey, would you be interested?" I said, "Yeah, sure. Love having new cadres in the magazine." So he wrote that up. Then next up is a very useful article called A Fistful of Companion Robots. So again, another discussion about building robots on the cheap. But what's really handy here, and to be certain, when we're talking companion robots, we're talking maintenance and service robots. We are not talking your combat, security, war bots, that sort of thing. We are talking, your R2-D2s and C-3POs. They don't go in and do the killing for you. These are just companion robots that might be companions to your characters in Star Frontiers. Now, what's really handy about this is there's a comprehensive list of robotic equipment for companion robots. I went through and tried to compile this thing when I wrote this. And so this is actually, I think, it doesn't have any weapons or defenses on it, but it's got almost every other piece of equipment you could install on a robot to this point in the history of the magazine. So that's handy. There's a discussion of missions and functions, and then you get the sample robots. Now, with these sample robots, let's take a quick look at the maintenance robot here. You get, description, the cost, and then we get a discussion of the mission and the functions. And so I give you a typical mission here, and I highlight in bold the words that would generate a function. So facility and controller. You would need to define those out of this mission for the robot. So then you get those functions. But then there's a little bit of language here, and I've tried to set this up for role play encounters. For example, the robot's supposed to report malfunctions. The malfunction could be a malfunction in itself, or it could be a malfunction in the equipment that it's trying to maintain. And so I've set this up with the report malfunctions to the controller. It could be that the robot goes, "Oh, I must report the malfunction to the controller." So in the middle of the night, it wakes up the player character who is the controller in the middle of the night, and, Sir, the hyperdrive is offline." It's just for a little extra color. So I've tried to set these up for the game master to have ways of influencing the game in some fun ways. I've made some effort. But as you go through this list, now this standard maintenance robot, this is a very low-level robot. This is not your R2-D2s. But you do have delivery bots. You have the hauler bot. I like the hauler bot. This is the kind of robot that you could give out to player characters at player character creation, it really doesn't do anything. It'll just follow you around and carry heavy stuff, or it will push a hover sled and carry heavy stuff for you, or you could just say, screw the robot, we'll give the player characters the hover sled, they can push the hover sled. It doesn't change the game in that they're not getting a stormtrooper they can send in to shoot up a situation, but with a hauler bot, or even that little hover sled that's described at the end of the article, it can be a game changer, and then it lets the player characters carry around some heavy equipment, and not be hindered by the encumbrance rules. So the Universal Flying Observer Bot, or UFO Bot, I thought that was a fun name. Bartender Bot, Nanny Bot, Diplo Bot. Now, I just want to point out the Diplo Bot at anthropomorphic body at level 6 with a protocol program. This very much is your C3PO character. And so, if you were thinking in that direction, this would be your bot right here. Chef Bot and environmental bot, technician bot, secretary assistant bot. The secretary assistant bot is the kind of thing the player characters are trying to get in to see somebody in a corporation. Secretary gatekeeper. You might want to have this information on secretary bot. And then we get into new equipment. And as I mentioned, the aforementioned hover sled, which I just thought that's a pretty good idea. Then we had the robots from Expedition to the Barrier Peaks. I was looking at the artwork thinking, tentacles. That says Sathar robot to me. So I converted called them the Gaxian robot conversion. They're actually the Gax4 Sathar bot. And so I just did a quick little write-up for converting, because, man, that tentacle just says Sathar to me. So the next article is Fair Shuttle Fair. This is a discussion done by Richard Shadowshack Rose. It is a discussion of the economics of what should a shuttle ticket cost to go from the surface to the space station, or to take a shuttle from orbit to the surface, or perhaps even from a planet to a moon type of thing. And so it's only like 3 pages, but excellent discussion and breakdown of the economics there, and I think it's well worth reading. And then if we could put timelines in a bottle. Timelines. What do you do with timelines? Zeb's timeline is problematic. It has problems. Do you use it? Do you scrap it? What do you do? You know what? I wrote up this little write-up. Laura Mumma compiled this Alpha Dawn timeline. This is the timeline strictly from Alpha Dawn sources. And so I thought this needs to be published. And this is a fantastic resource. So if you're you're saying, I don't like Zebs, I don't want to use the Zebs timeline, you just want to use an Alpha Dawn timeline, here you go. Absolutely fantastic article in the Frontier. Now, Special Concessions, that is a title. Special Concessions is a title that can kind of confuse you, I think. Because, when I first saw it, I'm thinking, you try to develop an idea what this is going to be about. This article was not what I was thinking it would be. Special Concessions here is where a player says, hey, I want to have that weapon from Zebulon's Guide, Roffler's, say. And so what this is a discussion about the rock, paper, scissors, weapons and defense thing that we got going on in Alpha Dawn and what happens to it when you start making special concessions and adding in those weapons from, say, Zebulon's Guide, and how they monkey with the system and unbalance it, and the sorts of problems that they can create. So I think this is an excellent discussion by Richard Rose. I do believe it was Richard who wrote it. Yes, it is. Concerning that, because the rock, we say rock, paper, scissors. You've got lasers, ballistic damage, and sonic, and your basic three ways you're going to go at other characters in Star Frontiers, in Alpha Dawn. And you've got the defenses for those. Now, a character can wear a sky suit, which is always a smart move, and then wear an albedo screen. So he's defended against most, melee and ballistic damage with the sky suit, and the albedo screen keeps him alive when the lasers get broken out. However, the Joker in the group is the NPC who shows up with a sonic weapon. He has no defense against that. So you say, all right, well, then we're going to swap out the albedo screen for a sonic screen. The only problem then is when, somebody breaks out a laser, turns that dial up to 10 or 20, depending on which laser weapon it is, and starts blasting away. And then when you start throwing in, the Rofflers and the Omega Bolt and these other microwave weapons, it can throw this whole system out of whack. And so that's why I really think this article is worth reading. It's to consider these things before you introduce them to your game, on what the impact could be to your game. And so, excellent article. A Lost Frontier. This is a collaboration between myself and Oscar Rios. Actually, what it really is this is a seminar presentation that we put on at a convention. And so we just took our script, put it in, it's a discussion of the history of the Star Frontiers game. Okay, it's not a history within the game, but it's a history of the game. And so this was basically our little seminar. We had pretty show and tell. I think Oscar organized that. So you can read that. Most of you know most of this history. We go right up and cover the attacks, the Evil Hat, and then the new TSR, and failed attempts at revival, and Star Frontiers today, and a little closing comment. And then finally, this was the first adventure I ran Tammy through in Star Frontiers. This is called the Escape Pod. It is a CSI Port Loren adventure. So, spoiler alert. And you can read that for yourself unless you're playing in it. But it's a basic police procedural set in Port Loren. And with it, you get these maps that I did way back in the, 2005, 2006 time period for Star Law. These are the Star Law Crime Lab, and Morgan Autopsy, and then Star Law offices. Now, if you look on the Port Loren map, there's a hexagonal building on the map, and it's I think it's labeled Star Law. I used even though I put right on my maps here, these that were done in Dungeony, I put Star Law. I use that building for the local Port Loren police station, and then the higher floors are Star Law offices, so they do communicate a little bit between them. And there's like a city computer and level 6 robotic brain in the building as well. And so these are just resources for running a CSI Port Loren game. I did not have the players be Star Law. I had them be Port Loren police. So, kind of takes the game down a level, and it was fun. So Aliens and Asteroids, The Fate of the Solar Chaser. This is a module review. I downloaded this module off of Drive-Thru, and I just thought, this is interesting. The reason why I dropped the $3 to download the module was I like the name, Aliens and Asteroids. It just caught my interest, and then I thought, oh, the module's good. And so I've reviewed it, but then I do a little converting it to Star Frontiers here. And you've got 3 paragraphs with my thoughts on how to integrate it into your game. And then, oh, this was my favorite thing to write in here, the infrared strobe marker. And that's because there's a little piece of fiction here. It's about like 5 paragraphs. So you get a little piece of fiction into the life of this Versk thief. And I enjoyed that. To me, that was really fun. Now, I just realized just now, because this article was to introduce new equipment, I just realized just now that in here, I had the Versk wearing the detangler vest, and that's from an early Star Frontiersman. But I don't think I actually referenced what Star Frontiersman that's in. So if you're like, oh, no, forget the strobe, this infrared strobe marker, that's stupid, I don't like that. But that detangler vest is cool. I didn't reference it in here. I'd have to look it up, but it's from an early Star Frontiersman, 6, 7-ish, somewhere around there. So I just really enjoyed writing this. I thought this was a fun little story. It's literally done in 5, 6 paragraphs. A first fateful encounter. This is a piece of fiction by Tom Stevens to introduce his first Sathar war game. And I do believe, if I'm not mistaken, that this is an alien fleet has shown up in Truane Star, and this is the introduction to the first Sathar war, where they just show up and they're trying to make peaceful contact, but the Sathar, of course, do the Sathar thing and blow everybody away. And then the very last, the back cover here is a frontier map. They've added all of the stars and named them for the rim, but this would be a frontier map circa the opening of the first Sathar war. So it's a fresh map, and that could be very handy to you as well. So that is Star Frontiers, Frontier Explorer number 34. And I love this cover. Some stock art off of a free website, Pexels or something like that. But, it's just the idea of if you could put timelines in a bottle. And so this ended up being the artwork for it. So this is Tom, a.k.a. Jedune, here for Star Frontiers Gamer and Tabletop Taproom with another Fanzine Friday. Thanks for watching my video. Thanks to my subscribers. Again, you guys are great. And don't forget to hit that like, subscribe, and bell icon. And until I see you again, have fun out there in the frontier.